Hello and welcome. Tonight we're going to be taking a tour of Seb. The goal of this video is to give people a reminder of the basic camps here. When the opportunity comes up, I will share some tips and tricks at specific camps. It may help some people out. Also, I do want to prepare people so they know what to expect while grouping here on the new Mangler server. So let's go ahead and get started here. Now, even though I am on a level 85, I'm still going to show you what I would do normally. You con mobs, check if they see invis. If they happen to be in your way, there's a couple different ways you can deal with them. Now, if you can feign death, you could just run, hope you don't get rooted, feign death really far in. Most classes have a pacify, or you hope somebody's there to pacify for you. But I usually played a cleric in here, an enchanter, and you can pacify and hope you don't get resisted, and if you do, run to the zone out. But a lot of this stuff will be clear on the Mangler server, so you don't have to worry that much, you know. And the cool thing is with picks on these TLP servers, is really if you're not looking to stay in that pick anyways, you can just pick over if there's a C invis in your way and try out another pick. So this is just the zone out area that I'm passing, coming up on the bugs. So this is not a group camp. If you are a group here, you're very, slim. You're not a full group with an enchanter pet. There's just not very many mobs. There's a named up here. That guy drops the lamentation. Also invis mask. It's got 10 charges of invis on it. That leads to the crypt, which you kind of need a lock picker to get into. So that big temple right there is the zone out, which I'll show you in another video probably. It's not, it's only, you go through you go through 3 doors and it's a platform. It's the same as the zone out downstairs. So I've gotten lucky, no C invis around here. You usually will get C invis here, but like I said, it's also usually being cleared. There's going to be a lot of AoE groups in this zone, so if you're in a camp and you're not pulling your stuff, it's going to get pulled for you most likely. So we're coming up on Disco, and it's split up into it's technically split up into 2 camps, but it's really just one camp. This is the first spot that a lot of people AoE at right here. There's a couple different corners you can use. You can put, it's a safe spot. You can put some tunes in there. So there's spot number 1. Now this is the actual disco area. And the special thing about this is that little guy right there, the little froggy up there, the Illus Wizard, he's a placeholder for Grumpelknot, I believe is the name. Drops a robe, but the important part about him is the placeholder is a charm pet that all the enchanters want. It's a wizard pet, it's level 53, but it hits for a lot. Once it runs out of mana, it does a lot of damage. You can get the Illus Wizards in the jail too. They're not always up, but people, if they can't call the hero themselves back up and get their pet up, then they just come steal this one from Disco. Most people don't care, but just be warned. Also, I see people camp at that spot, and I would not camp there because there's just too much stuff in the room spawning. I mean, if you're a group XPing in there, you really you don't need an Illus Wizard level 53 spawning on you. So here's just some side rooms. There's a C invis up there. This is just stuff for your puller to pull. There's a good camp spot back here. So there's a fabled up here, and it's too tempting not to kill, so I'm gonna kill it really fast. Won't take very long. Now a lot of this stuff drops the Kunark clicky items. A lot of Donalds drops here. I think this guy's going to drop the bracer, which has a pacify clicky on it, which is actually very good. It has high AC on it too, but that's not, I mean, some people will want it for that, but you really want it for the clicky. There it is. Especially once like Velius comes around. I mean, you can use it on the seahorses. You can also DA. I mean, it depends on how bad your swimming is, but I use that a lot when I main to cleric. Okay, so around this corner is going to be a camp spot that I like, especially if you want to avoid getting trained, because it's all the way in the back. So if you're back here at this camp spot and you're also clearing a lot of the stuff, an AoE group isn't going to bother you. I mean, if they need to run through all of Disco and it's all empty, there's only so far they're going to run with this big train on them. So up here on this side room, there's a hidden wall, well, invisible. You walk right through it here. There's not that many mobs back here. There's like 3 in this room. And there's a roamer. There's a few more, but there's a named that can spawn. This golem can spawn as Brog. And then there's a beetle under here. So just some extra mobs. A lot of these mobs can drop nice gems and spells. I don't remember the exact code for which can drop ODSs and which can drop the cloaks and stuff, but you just pull them all and try to get it. Now, this guy usually sees invis. I'm not sure. Okay, now we are gonna be leaving Disco here. Gonna head over to the other side where ABC is, and there's another really tiny camp. I think it's called the jail, but there's also a jail downstairs. But it's not really a camp. It's, you know, somebody that has 1 or 2 tunes might go in there and camp it. So here it is. Like I said, not very many mobs in here. But for somebody that's soloing or duoing, it's pretty good. It's just these jail cells and then 3 mobs here at the end. And that's it. That's a dead end right there. Nothing special, no named. Well, I don't think that bug spawns as a named. It might. If it is, it's nothing amazing. Okay, so here's the other big camp besides Disco. Here's ABC, which stands for Armor, Bartender, and Chef. Armor, Bartender, Chef. So we're going to come up on one good camp spot that I see most pickup groups sit at is right here. So I'm just showing you right here that this ends up at a dead end that you already saw, just so you get a feel for the entire area. So your puller's not going to go that way very often. So a lot of people camp right here. I personally like to camp a little further in just because I like camps that don't have any roamers in them. That way I can AFK and not have to worry about coming back dead. So I like to camp right here. But if you're in a pickup group where that's not going to happen, then that other spot's fine. But maybe boxers might prefer a spot like this. So again, fabled, too good to turn down. But this is a good opportunity to show you a small little trick here. So this guy, I don't have Dispel up. This guy's got Sow, and he's not snareable. So I don't really want, he's got a lot of hit points too. I don't really want him to run. So I pull another mob close to him, and now that there's a second mob, he's not going to run. This becomes important downstairs near the king area if you're trying to do the king camp with very small numbers, like let's say an enchanter and a cleric type of thing. This should be the rogue bracer. Summons daggers. Pretty sweet if you're playing a rogue. I mean, I think. Okay, so we are going to be leaving the chef area. And there's two little side rooms up here. Just some good info for your puller to know. Not a ton of mobs, doesn't lead to anything. And then a second room. I do remember some little mini named spawning on one of these sides or both. I don't remember it being anything great though. But I mean, if you're in that camp, you're clearing those mobs. So next little named is going to be the bartender up here. And he's going to spawn back there behind the bar. Right there. And the other guy is right around the corner. The armorer is in his own little room with two more little guys. Just going to take care of this scene viz here. So that is the ABC. Here's the A right here. Right in that room. So then we're going to make a full circle. We're going to come back around to the start of ABC up here. It's just a tiny little pathway, only a couple mobs in it. No big deal. Here, there's a ton of mobs here. This is the fun one to break if you're low level. So I'm going to show you a little trick I use when I AoE pull. You got a lot of mobs on you, and I pull on my Shadow Knight, so I need to life tap a lot of mobs while I'm running around. So you need levitate, and as you can see, mobs are going to come running at me. But since you're levitating, you can get over this spot right here, and they got to take the long way back. So, you know, you can use that opportunity to heal yourself up. Or if you're running from a train, you should run that way instead of the other way, because once you get past this point, you get a head start off of them. So again, I'll show you right here. They're going the long way. And see you later. But just a reminder that if you haven't played Everquest in a long time, mobs do leash in a lot of, in almost, some zones it's worse than others. Zones like Sol B, it's nearly like across the zone that you gotta go. Other zones, it's not very far, it's out of eyesight, and then things just forget you. So this is the second jail that I was talking about earlier that has some Illis wizards usually somewhere. And here we're going to come up on the zone out right here. This is the second zone out, and you just walk over that platform, no clicking or anything, just step on it. That's the same as upstairs. You just have to go through a couple more doors upstairs, but it's the same concept. Here is a safe spot. People camp their tunes here. You'll always see mages sitting there. People that are power leveling, they'll put their low level crappy tunes in that spot that aren't going to do anything. You're always going to see some tunes sitting there. And here's the king camp right here. This is where you're going to camp. That's where everybody camps. If you pick over and you want to see if the camp is available, that's the spot. Most likely you're going to see just a lot of farmers sitting there. You'll see people with randomly generated names and nearly every pick. Which also means that if you wait just a week, all the items that it drops are going to come down in price a lot. There's going to be a lot of picks open. There's going to be a lot. Every pick's going to be camped of this. So you really just don't buy anything right away. So this is the spot you would also use that trick I was telling you earlier. If you are just a chanter and a cleric, you're not going to be able to snare the king, and you really do not want him running. He's got a lot of hit points, so if he starts running, you can't kill him fast enough. You're going to go around the corner. He might, get a healer through a wall, and it's not fun. So sometimes I do it all the time. You mez it right next to him. If you can't mez, just tank it. But if you need to be mezzing at this camp. Another trick at this camp is, as long as it's not an adept that's, a healer mob that's above your normal mez, above 55, chanters can just use any of their low-level nukes, any of their nukes as an interrupt instead of just re-mezzing it. Then you got your pets that stop attacking, and you just spam chaotic feedback. It doesn't get resisted very often either, and that'll interrupt all the heals. So here's a tip. Yeah, I try to explain this to people, groups that I see walking through. The pathing here is really bad. There's like an invisible wall, and you'll see here, I'm going to show you plenty of examples. And if you come in here with a charm pet and you walk across this line, your group is screwed. You need to hold your pet far back and then make him follow so he's far enough away so that he warps to you, but you cannot walk him through this spot. You need to go the long way, or you need to call the hero, or get the charm pet later. But problem is there's not many charm pets beyond this point. But you'll see, I mean, look at this. Even at 85, just chain aggroing. They're taking the long way and just a big train. Look, and then I walk across the line again, and they come back around. So they won't cross that invisible line. And I have seen many groups killed by this. And that's counting me, but at least I learned my lesson after the first time. So I'm going to clear this aggro here, kill some mobs maybe. Let's see, I think I'm going to be able to run out of here. Well, I got to run around the corner and feign death. So you need to be aware of that as a puller. If you try to pull that way, you're going to get a lot of ads. So, but you can see on the map when you get here, it's not a bad area. You can pull the other side and you won't get that many shrooms. Any real group with an enchanter can handle, 6 mobs even. It's not that big of a deal. So here are the Juggs. There's a room to camp right here. I like that spot. I think this spot's better if you can't mez yet, if your chanter's not high enough level, because you can only get so many Juggs. The spot further in, though, there's a lot of roamers, but once your enchanter can actually mez, then the spot further in is much better. So I do want to remind you, though, you do not want to camp this in the main pick unless you know that Trachanon had just died, but he spawns pretty fast, so usually every morning a guild will come and kill him, which involves pulling him. So if you're in Juggs, you're gonna have to move anyways. But if you know he's died that day, then you're fine. But having Trachanon up makes pulling Tola and the Protector up top not something I would want to do personally. But if he's not up, those two are very easy to pull and kill. Tola, the only thing is you either have to mana drain or fight where he spawns, or do a lot of damage right at the end and just kill it while it's gating. So up here there's 4 of them, and then there's some side rooms with a couple frogs. That Echo is an out-of-era mob. It shouldn't be in on Mangler. There was a problem. It was on the other servers previously, and the problem is that it has a really big AoE, so people were either accidentally pulling it or purposely pulling it onto other guilds, and it was causing some issues, so they told us that it was taken out, so we will see. So there's one side room, a couple of frogs. Here's another side room, a couple frogs. Then there's one more side room that's going to have a few more frogs. This is just for your puller to, you can see where everything is. Now something also to remember when we get up here is that these jugs spawn pretty quickly, but the ones up near Trakenon and Protector and Tola, those are going to spawn much, much slower. I don't know the exact spawn time on them, but if I had to guess, an hour or so on those top spawns, maybe even longer. I was too tempted not to kill that guy, but he didn't drop anything. So that right there is where I camp, right where we were walking by. A lot of roamers, but once you have a mez, the glamour, then it's not a big deal. So up there is Trakenon, Tola, and Protector. And with Trakenon not up, easy to pull those guys. So with that, it's going to conclude this portion. I will try to get a video up showing Crypt. I really appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys learned something.